I got my shirt. If you want one, you have about 7 days left on the Teespring campaign. You can get this shirt, or you can get this shirt if you prefer it. Big shout outs to everyone who's already ordered one. And a lot of you have said that you'd like a shirt, but you just can't afford one right now. And I will keep that in mind. I may bring them back in the future. Thanks once again to all of you for all of your support.
I can tell by your eyes, never loved a boy with a style. The way you move, it's driving me wild. Smoother than a smoothie, cooler than the movies.
Hi, I'm T1J. Follow me on Twitter. So having a platform is weird, especially an internet platform. Sometimes it feels like when you have a platform, you have a responsibility to use that platform for positive outcomes. And to some extent, I think this kind of makes sense. Like, for example, did you know that your car probably has an arrow on the fuel gauge that tells you what side of the car the gas tank is on? I mean, I bet a lot of you knew that, but some of you probably didn't. I just used my platform to inform a lot of people all at once. Many people use their platforms to spread awareness about issues they care about or to raise money for charity. But it's also possible to use a platform for negative or selfish goals. Like those YouTubers who recently got caught lying to their audience about owning a gambling site for gamers. This is especially noticeable in the social media era where it's really easy to form communities around public figures. Like if Selena Gomez wanted her fans to storm the White House and throw rocks through the windows, she could probably make that happen. That's kind of scary to think about. But more often than not, when you have a platform, your audience just kind of does what it does and you can't really control it. Of course, they're informed by and motivated by the things you do and say, but at the end of the day, you can't really be held responsible for what they choose to do of their own will. They're not your children. And this is where that whole using your platform for good thing can run into problems. Because you can put out something that you think is good for the world, but you never know how people are going to take it and what people are going to do with it. I think you can find many examples of people who are trying to do constructive things in the world, but then their audience takes that and does not so good things with those ideas. And of course, there are people that I think encourage bad behavior because of how they use their platform. But even people who don't do that could see it happen, like the Bernie Bros and their rude and sexist attacks on Hillary Clinton. So it seems that any community has the potential to breed mass toxicity. So of course we can't blame the person with the platform for being popular, but it seems to me that a lot of this toxic behavior wouldn't exist if the platform wasn't there in the first place. Even if we're trying to be positive and bring good into the world, whenever a bunch of human beings get together, it seems that there's always a potential for hate and negativity to breed. So sometimes I wonder if the platform and its ability to easily form communities is part of the problem. Now, of course, some people with platforms, especially in the social and political space, are demagogues, and that's a whole nother problem. But most of them are just regular people sharing ideas and saying interesting things. That's why people follow them. What I think happens is people are really good at filtering out the nuance and only hearing the parts that trigger that emotional response. And then you have this mob of people reinforcing each other's convictions and unifying together under this singular idea. And of course, anyone who disagrees is your enemy. It's certainly possible and probable that these kinds of people are the minority, but they exist and they're loud and they affect the discourse in a real way. And I'm starting to think they might be inevitable wherever someone has a platform, especially in the social and political space. Like, imagine there's a button that I can push, and every time I push the button, 50 people get a kiss from their crush and they get to feel really happy. But also when I push the button, one person gets like a really gnarly Charlie horse. So I looked it up and apparently Charlie horse is a term that's not used that much outside of the United States. A Charlie horse is basically a really painful cramp in your leg. Anyway, would you say that it's okay to push that button? I mean, the positives are technically outweighing the negatives, but the person that's getting the Charlie horse would probably be like, yo, can you please stop pushing that fucking button? And as a person with a platform in this space, however small it may be, I have to think like that sometimes. I often wonder how much harm my platform could potentially cause. Because even if they are the minority, if they're loud and toxic enough to completely poison the discourse on the internet, I think that's worth mentioning. Come here for a second. So the button analogy isn't perfect because I'm not directly responsible for other people's actions, but it would concern me deeply if people were taking what I have to say and then using that as motivation to go and be awful. And I know some of you probably think that that's unlikely, but I know I have toxic viewers. I've encountered them. And I'm not just talking about bigots and bullies. I'm talking about anyone who's overly combative and closed-minded and divisive. To be fair, a lot of this has to do with the anonymity and immediacy of the internet. Like 90% of the hate and bullshit that happens on the internet probably wouldn't happen if we had to talk face to face. But the thing is, we don't have to talk face to face, like ever. So That's probably not going to stop. And if it's not going to stop, then I have trouble believing that internet discourse will ever not be terrible. And also, I don't even know if internet platforms are the correct place to even discuss social and political issues. They seem to do a pretty good job of confirming pre-existing convictions or gaining support for one singular person's ideas, but I don't know how good they are for actually advancing the discourse as a whole. I feel that one-on-one conversations, particularly face-to-face one-on-one conversations, are much better for providing civil and thoughtful discourse. This is one of the reasons why I've lately been more trying to talk with you guys rather than at you guys. Like, I don't want to tell you what your opinion should be, but I would like us to all go through life with a constructive and compassionate mindset. And if I can succeed in doing that even a little bit, then maybe it's all worth it. I've been talking about this a lot lately, and this is just more of me complaining about the discourse on the internet and not being very optimistic about it getting better. But I have to consider whether or not I'm contributing to that chaos, because if so, that's literally the opposite of what I want to be doing. In that case, I'd either have to stop doing it, which I don't think is going to happen, or find a way to counteract that with even more positivity and more compassion. That's just me though. But I really feel like I need to hear more thoughts on this. I think I'm kind of just in my own head right now and going a little crazy, especially if you don't particularly have a significant platform. Like, what is your analysis of the situation? Like, how do you interact with other people in the communities that you're a part of? And this could be politicians or fandoms or YouTubers or whatever. Are you seeing more positive outcomes than negative ones? Do you notice the toxic part of the community? It's very possible that I'm completely overthinking it, but I just wanted to start a conversation. Thank you for watching this video. Check out this other video I made about whether it's the responsibility of the disadvantaged to educate the privileged. I want to give a shout out to all of the new subscribers. How you doing? And please remember to be honest, be assertive, be kind, and be open-minded. If you agree with that, leave me a Heiko in the comments. And subscribe if you like my hair. Thank you once again for watching my video. For those that don't know, I'm a full-time YouTube creator, and the only way that I'm able to do that is through your support, and a large portion of that support comes through Patreon. Now, Patreon is a crowdfunding site for people like me with ongoing creative projects. It's kind of like an online tip jar where you can set it up to donate just a couple bucks every time I make a new video. So if you find any value in my channel or my videos, or if you just want to support me, please consider signing up for Patreon. That would be super amazing and totally appreciated. But even if you don't feel like it, or if you can't, that's fine too. I just thank you for watching.